we have with us an amazing personality. He retired as head of DRDO, that is Defense Research and Development Organization. Then he became Chief Scientific Advisor for Ministry of Defense. Currently, he is serving as member Niti Aayog and works very closely with Prime Minister of India, Sri Narendra Modi ji. He is none other than Padma Bhushan Dr. V.K. Saraswat. Saraswat sir, thanks for sparing time. Welcome to the discussion, sir.
Namaskar.
So, sir, as you are aware, India is fighting this COVID pandemic for last about 20 days or so. And we have done reasonably well, sir. But if you allow me to use a cricketing analogy, what were our hits and what were our misses? Where do you think we can do better?
I agree with you that India has done reasonably well in controlling this pandemic so far. Only the time will tell whether this trend continues or we are going to land up into major crisis or we are going to come out of it as a victory. But whatever decisions have been taken by the government of India after a lot of consultations from various agencies have yielded good results. And Niti Aayog played a major role in doing this. Particularly, we have been entrusted with the task of making the digital simulation models of how this virus was going to spread. And as a result, within Niti Aayog, also using some of the consulting agencies, plus also ICMR, plus some of the foreign universities, we collected information on various models being used by a large number of people, and then culled out what is relevant to us and tried to assign accuracy and probability under different scenarios. And that model has been made use of today by our planners, particularly for working out for each scenario what kind of healthcare system would be needed and what are the gaps in the healthcare system that need to be fulfilled, so that if we land up in that scenario, we are able to come out with the required results. And this certainly has helped us to take inventory of what is the kind of equipment which is available with our various hospitals, where are the critical care areas missing, and so on. So when we identified this, we realized that there are gaps. And then again, Niti Aayog started working out the strategy how these gaps have to be filled. For example, there was a gap in the case of ventilators. We realized that if we land up in a particular scenario, the ventilators requirement will go up, and the stock what we have in various hospitals across the states, across the central hospitals, even in the private sector, we need to work on that. And I was lucky to dig out my old, area of DRDO, where we had developed a ventilator and transferred the technology to one of the companies in Coimbatore, and that company has been taken over by a multinational called Scanray. I could track back, and then we were able to work out the strategy how to scale up the production in that company. The main problem was because the company has changed hands, the technology also got upgraded. So there was a serious supply chain problem. And then again, we brought in DRDO to help this company to start manufacturing some of the critical imported items using the indigenous industry as well as DRDO's national laboratories. I want to tell you that most of this problem is behind us. Although it could have been a miss, but this has become actually an achievement today. And not only that one company is doing it, now Bharat Electronics and even Mahindra using similar technologies are going to provide ventilators. Similarly, in the northern India, there's All India Institute of Medical Science, two doctors set up an innovation center like AGWESH. And they are working now today so we facilitated the whole process. Dr. Pal, who is our member health, he was in a position to bring all of them together. Similarly, we persuaded DRDO to start manufacturing N95, N99. There was a problem of fabric for the personal protection equipment, so we persuaded the industry to start manufacturing that. Then I am the president of the Sri Chitra Trinal Institute of Medical Science and Technology at Trivandrum. In fact, that institution came up with some fantastic, innovations. In a very short time, they came up with a toolkit, sorry, not toolkit, test kit for which is based upon antibodies to test the coronavirus. Now it is undergoing the validation trials at NIV Ernakulam. Similarly, they came out with a kiosk for disinfecting. They came out with a throat swab method of taking things like that. So as a result, large number of people have been able to get benefited by this. We also wanted that other systems of medicine, how they can be used for fighting the corona. So we did this study along with the Ayush Ministry, and we found that one company in Pune, what is called, his name is VGB, I think if I'm not wrong, VGB or VGF Biosciences Group. They have a Ayurveda product called ShatP, and they have done some trials in Bombay and Pune, and they found that it was effective. So we told the Ayush Ministry to look at it, and they have cleared it as an immunity booster to start with till such time the other clinical trials are done. Similarly, we made a lot of suggestions to the government of India on the economic front, how to mitigate the hardship of the various people, daily wages, migrant workers, unorganized sectors, poor, and people who are really not able to manage without the daily earnings and so on. Many of these suggestions were incorporated by Government of India while announcing the packages.
So, sir, if you really look at this COVID crisis, do you really think that this is a good opportunity for us to completely revamp our public health system, of our critical care system, even whether this crisis will actually help us push campaigns like Swachh Bharat in big way, sir?
Yeah, certainly, because we are actually now getting used to a system of living which is requiring certain norms, like for example, social distance, maintaining a social distance. Now, this is not very common in our country. We are a country which is crowd loving. We happily go into each other, we hug each other. This kind of a thing is not there to maintain what is called the private space. Like in country like Japan and all that, this is a very normal thing to maintain a private space. If you have gone to Japan, you will see even in the metros, even in the public transport and other public places, people don't crowd like what we do. So we certainly are going to have, and Swachh Bharat scheme, sanitization. I'm very happy to see that the place where I live today is being disinfected almost every day. People are not throwing garbage. People are also washing hands. People are also taking care of that every day they are coming outside, then they are maintaining hygiene. So all this is going to make a tremendous difference as far as systems are concerned. And our healthcare infrastructure will also improve considerably because of this. Because we are now going to take care of large number of patients in specific areas, and we will get our hospitals upgraded. We'll have our critical care centers upgraded. All this will certainly be a big gain as far as this crisis is concerned.
So this is an unprecedented lockdown. Nobody has seen this situation in their lifetime currently. But the people who are really suffering are the poor people, are the laborers, migrant workers. What steps you are taking as Niti Aayog to actually ease their suffering or to ensure that their life is a bit better?
In fact, if you see the history, we had the Janta curfew, which was imposed by the Prime Minister on 22nd of last month. And then after a few days, we had this lockdown. During that period itself, we realized that suppose this curfew has to continue, what will be the impact on the people in different sectors? And what we have mentioned as the migrant population, poor people and all these people, daily wage earners, as I mentioned earlier, all of them certainly are going to be affected because lockdown means they will lose their earnings. As a result, we had made large number of suggestions to the Government of India, particularly the Finance Ministry, with respect to, firstly, those who are going to be the daily workers, migrant laborers, construction workers, people who are in the unorganized sector, and those who are in the MSMEs where the paying capabilities are not there. People are running their self-help groups, which are running their own business, they don't have money from any other sectors. So, taking into account our suggestions, the government, of course, we did not tell them the exact number, how much money they should allocate. But Government of India came up with their calculations, and I think you know the package which was announced by our Honorable Minister for Finance, Madam Sitaraman, when it was 1.7 lakh crores have been identified for this kind of a thing. But the most important thing among those, welfare measures are that it takes care of the food security of such people. It takes care of direct cash transfer to some of them. It takes care of their health insurance in this period. It takes care of insurance for COVID warriors who are now actually taking care of hospitals and police people and sanitization workers and so on. We also recommended that the wages for the Manrega should be increased, and that was taken, even to the extent of free cylinders for LPG is being given. Then we also said that you should give wages to those, you should give directions to the companies that they should not cut the salary because the lockdown is there. Because if the salary is cut, then there will be a problem. You have the major issue with the construction workers. So Government of India came up with a scheme saying that based upon our suggestion that some money should be given for, so states have been empowered to draw from this 31,000 crores fund which is available for supporting the construction workers. We also suggested that those who are now taking house rent from these migrant workers and construction workers and poor, please don't take the house rent for this period. 3, EPF for these workers. You know that the Government of India is now going to pay for 3 months their EPF and things like that. So, and all this, even to the extent of that, some support in the payment of the electricity bill and things like that, social security areas, as have been done. Now, one of the major suggestions which we have made was deferring the EMI payments on the loans and things like that. And also because there is a large number of MSMEs are also going to suffer because of this, because they don't have working capital. And they don't have salaries to pay, money to pay the salaries to their staff. We suggested that some support to the MSMEs also should be given. And to that extent, they said, yes, MSME will be in a position to draw at much lower interest rate and things like that. So, all these kind of measures which were suggested by the NITI Aayog have certainly helped the government to come up with that package. And I think this package has worked very well to support as far as people from the poor category or below the poverty line, migrant workers, unorganized sectors and all that. 1.7 lakh crore is a fairly good amount. Only thing is, it should reach the people. And then, as I'm seeing on the roads today, and you must have also seen, large number of self-help groups have come up to support and provide food to the people who are who are living on the streets. And even DRDO today is now organizing almost 60,000 food packets every day. So that kind of a thing is being done by a large number of organizations. So in addition to the government support, suggestions made by NITI Aayog and the country's self-help groups are certainly able to mitigate some of these problems.
I hope, sir, this help reaches, as you rightly said, to our poorer sections, to our migrant workers.
Yeah.
So, world post-COVID crisis is going to be significantly different. So, how you envisage the role of India in post-COVID crisis world?
Yeah, I think the world is going to shift to a new normal post COVID-19. You have to accept that it is not going to be the same story as we have been having in the past. It is going to be quite different, and India will certainly have to change itself if it has to really make this crisis into an opportunity. If you see I will give you the analogy. Not that this crisis didn't come after the First World War, after the Second World War, many times the countries had this recession. Between the First World War and Second World War, when the First World War took place, then there was a huge opportunity which America encashed by growing technologically, and as a result, when the Second World War came, they were the richest nation and they were able to provide. Now, this is the kind of a thing that can happen today. So, in this change scenario, when a new world order will come, new normal will come, people will have economic recession. People will certainly be angry with China. because they feel that China is responsible for this crisis. And as a result, the bilateral relations between the China and the others may not be same as we are having today. It will give, there may be many industries which are US origin
So
industries.
you think, sir, the large number of industries will shift their base from China to India?
I'm coming to that. Yeah, there is a possibility, and which is already happening even before this crisis, because of the some stalemate in the trade relations. There was a pullout of some of the industries from China, which were the US origin industries. I particularly feel that this could be made use of by India, but how it can happen? Apple can come here, Samsung can come here today to set up production base. But our FDI policies will have to be restructured. We have to make them more friendly. We have to ensure that our taxation, our interest rates, our land rates, our labor laws, all of them are conducive for FDI so that the foreign industries will come and set up base in India. And that will be converting this crisis into an opportunity. That is as far as one aspect is concerned. Second aspect is today we are also likely to see that there is a space for India to emerge a superpower in the new economic order. Because when such trade relations will happen, India with its policy to have bilateral relations on trade and things like that will be more beneficial in that. So they will be able to make use of that.
We sincerely hope, sir, that what you have said will really give a great boost to Make in India kind of a campaign, which we are championing it quite aggressively, sir. Sir, but you are a scientist by heart. And within Niti Aayog also, you are championing spread of science in a really big way. So, sir, are you really happy with the way our scientific community has responded to this crisis, sir?
Actually, to be frank with you, I'm not only happy, I'm proud of my scientific community that the way they responded to the kind of crisis that emerged in various areas, like whether it was meeting the healthcare infrastructure requirement, or meeting the vaccine development requirement, or meeting some of the healthcare procedures requirement and things like that. They have really responded well. But there are certain issues which needs to be addressed. There are some learnings from this. While the response has been good, we found that most of our scientific developments have not gone to mass scale. They have actually remained at TRL 3, 4, 5 maximum. And as a result, when it was required to scale up the technology to mass production, which is the need of the hour today, that we want thousands of ventilators, we want thousands and thousands of PPEs, lakhs of masks and so on and so forth, we find that the capability to translate the technology from TRL 3, 4, 5 to mass scale has been missing. And that was one of the major drawback of our SNT system. Another thing which I noticed was we have certainly a very acute shortage of the testing infrastructure. We have one National Institute of Virology in Pune, and all of us are dependent on sending everything to NIV and things like that. Now, with great effort today, we are able to come out with NIV subdivisions of NIV in various places like Delhi and Kozhikode and this, that, and all that, which has been multiplied, I'm told, about 23 or 33, some number. But should we not have more of these NIVs? Should we not? Because as far as bio weapons are concerned, I call it bio weapons. Why? Because if you see the last 15 years of the pandemics or whatever problems we have, it started with swine flu, the aviation flu, the dengue, the chikungunya, and then SARS and all kinds of things. All of them are related to something bio. Now, Zika virus for that matter. Now, obviously, this particular field needs a larger attention on our part. And hence, the NIVs, biotechnology industries, they all need to be actually funded more, and they have to be more oriented towards likely problems in the future. Our system of development of drugs and vaccines also needs to be restructured. It takes very long time to carry out trials. Our regulatory bodies have their very archaic and bureaucratic system of doing the validation and clearance by various agencies. First it has to be done by ICMR, then it has to go to the drug controller, and each one takes its own time. As a result, even if you take the fastest route, it takes about 12 to 18 months for any vaccine to emerge. If it comes out in 18 months, it will be a great exercise. So we need to look at that very carefully. This is where the scientists and the management has to make a major point. Another area is our work. The lesson which we have learned is on the medical equipment development and manufacturing. While NITI Aayog has been taking a lot of initiative in this area, and we have had many meetings with the industry as well as with the development agencies, but I think it still needs a huge funding and restructuring of our processes, both for development and commercialization. Finally, I would like to say the last word as far as the scientists are concerned, that we need to still improve our interaction between the industry and the scientific community. Unless we have to have trust in the private sector. We should not have mistrust. We should have trust in the private sector, and the scientists should become an integral part of development in private sector rather than isolating themselves in the national laboratories and trying to do everything themselves. Unless the synergy among the three national labs, academic institutions, and the industry is there, I don't think the symphony will be missing. And the symphony is the technology for the well-being of the humanity.
I completely agree with you, sir. There has to be a huge collaboration between industry and academia. Yeah. We have to move in that direction. So, sir, before actually closing down, whether you would like to say something to our viewers. Today is 11th, and after 4 days, the curfew or the lockdown will get lifted. It may happen in a phase-wise manner. That's what we are listening to, sir. So what is your message to our fellow citizens, sir?
I think you should learn. I will learn. A lot of videos are coming from China. Although now they say that completely they have solved the problem. I think we have not solved the problem. Whether we lift the lockdown in a phased manner or completely, the trailing effects will always be there. Now, trailing effects means if we don't take care, if we are not disciplined, if we don't organize ourselves, then recurrence may take place. So our first requirement is going to be as a very disciplined and highly regulated system of our functioning. And that means use as much as possible the IT technology for finding out who are the people who are actually suffering from this even today, isolate them properly in your colony, in your own places and things like that, and government should take appropriate steps. The way they are doing that, every street, there is a doctor, there is a policeman, and there is a guy who is measuring making sure that there are people who are going in the building or going in the street are not suffering from anything. Now and then those who are found to suffer from this, they are taken to the quarantine and they are taken care of that. Now, this kind of a discipline we will have to continue for some more time post-COVID. And post-COVID, it is not just lockdown. The post-COVID, I would like to tell you that India has to really make a major change to take care of this situation. Second thing we have to do is we have to reduce our dependence on China. Because if we continue to depend on China for each and everything, then we are not going to grow. So we have to reduce our dependence on China. Any economy which has to actually improve, it has to find market in United States. The penetration in US has to be done. We have to prepare for bio-disasters. We cannot remain isolated with that. We have to give major push to the MSMEs. We have to make sure that our agriculture is from farm to fork. It is not just producing the grains. It has to be the farm to fork strategy. We have to focus. In fact, this was not my point. This was the point which Vice Chairman had mentioned, that we have to focus more on employment growth rather than on the GDP growth, because we are going to have serious problem of employment post-COVID, and we have to take care of that. So we have to take all those actions which are going to generate more and more employment, whether it is in the private sector, in the public sector. And last point is, we should not mistrust our private sector. It's only through the private sector and distinction between private and public to be reduced that we will be able to actually revamp our economy. And as I mentioned earlier, to make this crisis into opportunity, make sure that the international industries come over to India. Our FDI policies will have to be more, supportive. We should have ease of doing business in a true sense. We should be able to support them all through. I'm sure this crisis will bring India as a much bigger winner over a period of time.
So, sir, to conclude, I think all Indians will listen to what you have said very carefully and will act on what you have said. So, sir, it was really pleasure talking to you. Thanks again for joining and sparing time, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Namaskar.